I thought I'd give you a quick update on the midterm elections in the United States because quite a few of the predictions that I made have actually come true. One of them, not so much, but we'll get to that. So first of all, the big news out of these midterms, the Democrats have maintained control of the US Senate, as I predicted they would. They've done it by flipping Pennsylvania, which John Fetterman managed to win, as I predicted. I think this is going to be one for John Fetterman to win. They also managed to hold Arizona, Mark Kelly's seat, which I also predicted. I think Mark Kelly will win this seat. And Catherine Cortez Masto won her re-election fight in the state of Nevada, which I didn't quite predict. Republicans are going to win Nevada? I thought it would go the other way. I thought Adam Laxalt would pull it off, but no. Catherine Cortez Masto managed to eke out a victory in the final day of counting on Saturday because the ballots that were left were mostly in Clark County, aka Las Vegas, and even though she was behind for most of the week, she managed to pull ahead once those final results came in, and she was able to seal the deal for the Democrats. This now means that the Democrats have 50 seats in the US Senate and therefore retain their majority. There's one seat left, which is Georgia. If the Democrats win Georgia, they'll have 51 seats. It'll be 51-49. If they don't win Georgia, it'll be 50-50. And that will mean that the Vice President, Kamala Harris, will break the ties, and she's a Democrat, which then gives the Democrats the majority. This is absolutely incredible. The Democrats could be about to increase their majority in the US Senate, despite all of the predictions which said that they would be having a very, very tough time maintaining their majority. I predicted they'd keep it. A 50-50 Senate. Kamala Harris as the Vice President will break the tie, so Democrats will maintain the majority. That is my prediction. But the fact that they're now on the verge of potentially expanding their majority is just remarkable. The race in Georgia has now gone to a runoff, as I predicted it would. Because as a third-party challenger running in Georgia, this will almost certainly end up going to a runoff. Raphael Warnock did lead in the race with just under 50%. Herschel Walker came second, and the third-party candidate had about 1 or 2% of the vote. So that race goes to a runoff. It will be happening in early December, and I think Raphael Warnock will win that runoff election. There are two reasons why I think this is the case. First of all, because the Georgia Senate race is no longer going to decide control of the US Senate. It doesn't have that much importance anymore. And because Herschel Walker is such a bad candidate, Republicans don't have the motivation to get out and vote. There is no incentive anymore to get Republicans out to vote because he's a disaster. Why on earth would a Republican want to get out actively to cast a ballot for such a terrible candidate? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It won't make any difference. So I think lots of Republicans will actually end up staying at home, not bothering to cast their ballots. The other reason why I think Raphael Warnock will win is because if you look at the exit polling that came out of Georgia, Raphael Warnock led among independents by 11 points. 11 points. That's according to the CNN exit poll. And in a state like Georgia, where it is so heavily polarized, it's effectively now a purple state. If the Democrats can turn out their entire base, or as much of it as possible, plus independents breaking towards Warnock, it's game over. Herschel Walker has no chance of winning, especially if the Republican turnout is low because there's not much of an incentive to vote for him because he is a disaster. So I think Raphael Warnock is going to win the Georgia runoff, and I think therefore he will become the 51st vote, which makes Chuck Schumer's life as the Senate Majority Leader much easier because you don't have to have this weird power sharing agreement in the Senate anymore. And looking ahead to 2024, the Senate map looks much tougher for Democrats. Any padding they can give themselves now, a seat like Georgia, is absolutely vital because, you know, he's going to be there, Raphael Warnock, for 6 more years. He'll be up for re-election next time in 2028. So, 2028? Yes, 2028. Wow, 6 years away. So therefore, having that padding there for the Democrats is so important, and I think he will win. So I think the final outcome, my updated projection, is that it's going to be 51 to the Democrats, 49 to the Republicans. This was a disastrous result for the Republican Party. There are some races there. Pennsylvania, they absolutely should have won. If they'd nominated David McCormick instead of Mehmet Oz, David McCormick would have won that race. You look at Arizona, if they nominated Doug Ducey instead of Blake Masters, Doug Ducey probably would have won that race. New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, the governor, declined to run in that race. He did not want to go anywhere near Washington. Had he run, he would have beaten Maggie Hassan probably. The Republicans have just completely botched this election. They went for all the Trumpy candidates. All the Trumpy candidates ended up losing in their races. All the election deniers ended up losing in their races, and instead went for moderate Democrats. Mark Kelly, classic example. This guy, middle of the road Democrat, always talking about the legacy of John McCain. This is John McCain's old seat that he's just won a full term to. You compare that to the Republicans, Carrie Lake running for governor. She's behind at the moment, trashing John McCain's legacy, absolutely parroting the election denial stuff. It is no wonder that someone like Mark Kelly was able to win that race, and it's no wonder that someone like Carrie Lake is now behind, because if you're trashing the legacy of one of Arizona's most beloved senators, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be a disaster for you. So none of this is a surprise. The Democrats have outperformed expectations. Kevin McCarthy is facing a very difficult path to becoming Speaker, and I did say in the last video, I don't think he's going to become Speaker, because the Freedom Caucus is going to make some crazy demands. I was watching CNN the other day. There might be a demand that they make whereby one member of the GOP caucus could take down Kevin McCarthy, something like that. And it just sounds insane, and it's a red line for Kevin McCarthy, but he will have to concede and accept these demands if he wants to become Speaker. That's why I'm not convinced that he will end up replacing Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. This should have been a Republican red wave, and they blew it because, like I say, they went for all the Trumpy candidates, they went for all of the nutcases, the election deniers, and the independent voters basically just said, we don't want this. We don't really like Joe Biden. We don't really like the economy being so bad, inflation so high. We're not fans of that, but we will take all that over a crazy bunch of Republican lunatics. And that is why you saw the Democrats keep their Senate majority, possibly about to expand their Senate majority, and Republicans in the House looking like they're going to have a tiny majority. And if Kevin McCarthy does become Speaker, he is going to have hell, because he will not be able to govern effectively with such a small majority. Of course, I've been talking about Republican losses, but the big winner from Tuesday night was Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He is the new man in town. He absolutely obliterated Charlie Crist. Charlie Crist, for some bizarre reason, put a tweet out before Election Day saying, in 3 days' time, we are going to end Ron DeSantis' career. I mean, delusional is an understatement, frankly. Ron DeSantis absolutely blew him out of the water. Nowhere was this clearer than Miami-Dade County, a county that Hillary Clinton won 2-1 in 2016. Very, very heavily Democratic at the time, heavily Hispanic population, Cuban Americans specifically. Hillary Clinton won it 2-1 in 2016. Joe Biden also won the county in 2020, but by a much narrower margin. Donald Trump was able to close the gap between him and Biden in Miami-Dade County. Ron DeSantis has come along and absolutely just crushed it in Miami-Dade. Absolutely extraordinary. The first Republican to win Miami-Dade County since Jeb Bush when he was governor of Florida. So this is an incredible sea change in Florida. Florida is no longer a swing state. Florida is a red state, and it should be treated as such. The Democrats should not go anywhere near it in 2024. In fact, I think it's going to be gaining an extra electoral college vote. So I think it's going to have 30 electoral college votes in the 2024 presidential election. Democrats should go nowhere near it. They need to stay away from Florida, stay away from Ohio, the other red state. J.D. Vance ended up winning in Ohio. So Democrats need to stay as far away from Florida and Ohio as possible. They are not going to go Democrat next time or ever again in the near future. They need to focus on the Rust Belt, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and they need to focus on Arizona and Georgia and Nevada. That is where the path to Democrats is now going to lie. But overall, this has been an astonishing midterm for Joe Biden. Not only has he lost fewer seats in the House than most presidents have in their first midterm, but he could also be about to expand his majority in the US Senate. It's just incredible. Republicans have to have a long, hard look at themselves and figure out, do they want to continue with Donald Trump and his losing streak, which we've seen over and over again in 2018, 2020, 2022 now, or are they going to go with a brand new chapter and find a brand new path?